Allowances in public service. U.S. Ambassador Henry Jardine concludes 3-year mission in Mauritius. In world news, United States seizes oil tankers linked to Venezuelan crude exports. And in sports news, Premier League United held against as Chelsea and City drop points. The Cameroonian national Bolzano Kemayu is expected to be formally charged today with the murder of his partner Sivani Saminaden in Petit Cafré. The suspect had attempted to escape from the SSR hospital in Pamplemousse in the early hours of Tuesday, prompting a tense intervention by police officers assigned to guard him. He was eventually discharged from hospital on Wednesday afternoon and escorted under heavy police protection to the central barracks where he was placed in detention. Bolzano Kemayu is suspected of strangling his partner and allegedly disposing of their baby in a rubbish bin. Following the killing, he is also accused of violently assaulting a foreign tourist in Kaludjin and threatening a minor on a beach. He was later assaulted by relatives of the teenager. He is being represented by lawyer Nawaz Duki. And in other news making headlines this morning, 8 local cases of chikungunya have been recorded in Mauritius between 12 December and 7 of January, including 5 cases in areas such as Plaisance, Rochebrune and Beaubassin. In response, larviciding and fumigation operations have been carried out in the affected regions to curb mosquito proliferation. More in this report voiced over by Rupeshna Ajuda.
In Plaisance, the latest case of chikungunya was logged in yesterday. Since the 13th of December, officers from the Ministry of Health's Public Health Department have been engaged with residents from the area in larvicide and mosquito control operations. This resident was issued a notice on the spot for failing to comply with health regulations. Water accumulated needs to be eliminated. It has to be cleared from gardens to eliminate chikungunya. The notice provides for 2 days to get rid of the water. They outline the nuisance in people's yards and first even issue notices. If they don't carry out the work required, they even fine them for non-compliance. It's good to have the area checked, hoping everything goes well. One needs to use one's own intelligence and keep everywhere clean for the neighborhood to thrive on community bonding. The first case of chikungunya was detected in this region on December 12th, and since then, other cases have been filed. The municipality of Beaubassin-Rosine has joined forces with the Ministry of Health to clean up abandoned land. They make sure all wasteland are clean, that garbage collection is regular. The guidelines are that if there is wasteland in one's neighborhood, it has to be cleaned, and one should not throw any waste in those abandoned plots. From December 12th, 2020 to January 7th, 2026, 8 cases of chikungunya. This rings the alert for utmost vigilance. Up till the end of December, there were 5 cases. At the beginning of January, a first case was spotted on the 5th, 2 chikungunya cases added on, one in Forestside and the other in Plaisance-Rosil. One has to be concerned because with climate change, rainy periods are starting earlier. We need to be very vigilant. Health authorities remind the public that the best defense is to cooperate with teams in the field. The fight against chikungunya relies first and foremost on prevention.
Thousands of public sector employees could be affected by an impending government decision concerning 2 unresolved issues highlighted in the latest Pay Research Bureau report. These include allowances for employees working on shift or roster systems on Sundays and the reimbursement of bus fares for civil servants already benefiting from free transport. Contrary to the PRB's recommendation, the government is expected to bypass the consultative committee and take a decision directly at the next cabinet meeting. More details with Pranav Viari and Anjali Siratan-Pulchan.
The Pay Research Bureau report has highlighted 2 problematic issues stemming from administrative decisions deemed inconsistent, costly, and a source of confusion. The first concern raised by the Ministry of Finance relates to the reimbursement of bus tickets to civil servants who already benefit from free transport, particularly those over the age of 60. This resulted in a double payment by the state with a significant impact on public finances and on the national budget. Another sensitive issue involves the remuneration of civil servants working on Sundays under shift or roster systems. The Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms warned of abuses in the application of double pay, with some employees reportedly receiving up to 3 days' salary for a single Sunday worked, far beyond the original intent of the measure. In response to these 2 matters, the PRB recommended the establishment of a consultative committee and a temporary freeze on the payments. However, according to our information, this step will ultimately be bypassed. The Cabinet is expected expected to approve two major decisions this Friday, 9th January. First, contrary to the advice of the Ministry of Finance, reimbursement of bus tickets will be maintained for civil servants already entitled to free transport. Second, a strict return to double pay will be enforced. Affected employees will no longer receive 3 days' salary for Sunday work, but 2, in line with the original spirit of the policy. There is a deliberate political choice aimed at swiftly settling sensitive service condition issues without resorting to an additional consultative mechanism. Attention now turns to how these decisions will be received on the ground at the crossroads of budgetary constraints, fairness within the public service, and the expectations of state employees.
And on to medical-related news. Renowned pediatric surgeon Dr. Ashley de Cruz is in Mauritius for the 13th time. Since earlier this week, he has examined 19 children suffering from congenital conditions that cannot be treated locally and has successfully performed 6 surgical procedures at the pediatric unit of the new ENT hospital. Take a listen to more on this report by Rupeshna Ajuda.
In the operating theatre, Dr. Ashley de Cruz is engaged in a mitrophenol. The surgical procedure is to drain urine from the bladder. The patient is barely 8 years old and has suffered from urinary issues since birth. This procedure is highly technical. Dr. de Cruz is assisted by a Mauritian surgeon, pediatrician, anesthesiologists and nurses. This is the 6th surgery by Dr. de Cruz in 3 days on Mauritian patients aged 1 to 8 years suffering from congenital diseases. The other patients are in the post-operative room. He was suffering from stomachache, constipation, and they went to the hospital for follow-up. They discovered the cause. Luckily, these people have come from India for this kind of operation here. The surgery would not have been possible in Mauritius. They would have had to travel abroad. She's very happy. It's Dr. de Cruz's 13th visit to Mauritius. He has led 200 surgical procedures free of charge in our hospitals, which would have required for patients to travel abroad.
All the cases that we have done are very complex, and they would normally maybe have to be referred out somewhere else. By our presence here, we were able to complete the operations here in Mauritius. So I think it's a great help to the families.
Minister Anil Baich is counting on Dr. de Cruz's support in the setting up of a bone marrow transplant unit at the new cancer centre. Our doctors and surgeons are also learning a lot from him. The doctor promised that during his next visit, he would tackle more complex surgeries. Minister Anil Baich confirmed that bone marrow transplant would be carried out in Mauritius soon. Dr. Ashley de Cruz is world-renowned, especially after the successful complex surgery on Cléane Papillon, the conjoined twin who was successfully separated in 2019 and considered the 3rd miracle baby in the world.
And in other news, the United States ambassador to Mauritius, Henry Jardine, is stepping down after 3 years in office. Speaking to the Mauritian press at McCarthy House in Floreal, he said it had been an honor to represent the United States in Mauritius and Seychelles. He also took the moment to highlight the upcoming USA-Africa Business Summit. Take a listen to his extract.
What I think Mauritius has is the fact that it's really a gateway and a platform for doing business in a huge market, which is India. And you are seeing growing awareness within the American business community that Mauritius has the capacity to be that platform. And again, very much appreciate the leadership of Prime Minister Ram Ghulam in offering Mauritius to be the host for 2026 US-Africa Business Summit. So I think that's going to be a huge, huge event. And I think, again, a real capstone to this effort over the last 3 years of promoting the economic commercial relationship between our two countries. We're very excited that we'll have a senior level visit coming out in February led by our Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Department of State for Political Military Affairs to start a discussion about how we can build and enhance our security cooperation. And that's part of the effort to build out that connection following the signing of the agreement on the Chagos Islands.
It's 9:09. You're listening to RM1. We move to international news now. The United States has announced the seizure of 2 oil tankers linked to Venezuelan crude exports in coordinated operations in the North Atlantic and the Caribbean. One of the vessels was intercepted after a nearly 2-week pursuit with logistical support from the British Royal Navy. The move comes as Washington intensifies efforts to restrict Venezuelan oil exports following the recent arrest of President Nicolás Maduro. And finally, in sports, in English football, the Premier League's 21st round produced mixed results for the top teams. Manchester United were held to a 2-2 draw away to Burnley, despite a second-half brace from Benjamin Sesko. Chelsea suffered a 2-1 defeat at Fulham, extending their winless run, while Manchester City were also held to a 1-1 draw by Brighton, conceding a 3rd consecutive stalemate and losing further ground on league leaders Arsenal. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned now to the